Happy new moon in Leo, everyone. My voice is a little bit cracky today, so just ignore that. But I've collected a lot of information on this new moon in Leo, which also lines up with August 8th, 2021. And it lines up with this Lion's Gate portal, okay? So I did some research on this, and I'm sure, you know, there's lots of information on this already. And I believe I made a video on this last year. I'm not even sure. But when we hear of, or someone like me, I like to be connected to or practice or be around the energy of something that's ancient, right? And that I feel connected to, and it's not like a new age thing. So when it says Lion's Gate portal, it sounds very new agey, which the title is, for us to kind of connect the pieces of what's going on. So I had to do a little bit more research, and every year this comes up, I do some research. And you know, we all have our lives, we're all busy. I'm busy, so I'm not even on camera today, and I wanted to just have this image up for the video along with my notes, kind of like I'm teaching a workshop or a lecture. So what I did my research, and this whole, I'm like, where do I start? So much information. Okay, so it has to do with the planet series. Okay, now this planet is, let's say it goes back to the ancient Sumerians, right? The Babylonians, Mesopotamia, Egypt, all right? And it also has connection with the Dogon tribe. Now, a lot of this stuff, historically, we know that tribes migrate, right? So there's like a deeper connection here, but how can we use it for our meditation on the new moon? And that's where we're trying to get to here, okay? So what's the meaning behind it? Because I need to know. If you're listening to my channel, you want to know the meaning behind things and how it connects, and then how you can use it. And it goes on and on. It's like a pie. You can use it for so many different things. What's going on in your life, and how does this connect? So I want this video to be like a little bit of a research, and then for my meditation channel, Chi Life Center, then you can come back to this, take notes, and then look at your birth chart and say, okay, what house is Leo in my birth chart, right? Because that's where we're getting to. What house is Leo in my birth chart? Because you don't have to be a Leo sun sign to connect to this. What's your where's Leo in your birth chart? What house? What planets are in your birth chart? We're just talking about your birth chart, because this can be confusing, right? So your birth chart, when you were born, the year you were born, right? When you were born, breaking it down. Where is Leo in your chart? Is it in the 12th house, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd? Which house is it in? And what planets are there? And are you in the ascendant? Is the ascendant there? Cool. Okay, so I'm clicking now over to my chart for today. I'm going to get rid of my birth chart so I'm not confused. Now, like I said, just sit back. Okay, sit back, relax, get your coffee. This isn't something fast. You know, digest this. Today is August 8th. 2021. From my location, Pacific Standard Time, the new moon is at 6:49 a.m. So this morning I should have meditated, and I didn't. I thought it was later in the day, because I have to go to work after this. So I'm trying to get it done. I tried to get this done yesterday, but I was so tired and busy, very busy. Okay, so Pacific Time, 6:49 a.m. was the high peak, and I remember what I was doing. I did meditate in the morning when I woke up, and so that was good. I feel good about that. So I'm going to connect to it again today at any hour at 49 after, right? So say if you're busy all day today, the 8th, whatever time at 49 after is how I'm going to connect to it. Okay, boom, boom, boom. It's in Leo. It's 16 degrees, 13 minutes. So you can do your meditation for longer than 13 minutes. I would say for 20-minute meditation. It could be longer. Maybe you have different rituals that you want to practice. You want to do, what popped up to me is Himalayan salt. Okay, there's a different Himalayan salt practice. You can use it for a bath. You can pour some in your bath. There's many different essential oils you can put in there depending on what you want to connect to, but just keeping it simple for everyone. You know, you can do a Himalayan salt bath. You can use it to gargle. You could use it to do a cleanse, you know, a saltwater cleanse, whatever. You have to really look into it yourself, right? So there's different practices that you can do on this new moon. But the new moon, you want to set a new intention. It could be an old goal that you want to connect to again and master it and get it done, right? We all have our struggles in life, so we're using these new moons to really keep us focused. I love this practice, okay? So, you know, really connecting to this new moon, your new intention that you're setting for the 28 days, and keep it going. And the full moon, celebrate what you have done on the next full moon, you know? So if there's one goal that you're like, listen, this is my main goal, I really need to get it done, boom. Leo is that fire energy. That fire energy, that fire element will help you to get things done. Fire element meaning, okay, spiritual meaning for the fire element, for anyone out there, okay, it's associated with the wands, or the rods is the same name in the tarot deck. The wands represent fire, wood, right? It represents your passion and your inspiration, okay? Fire is your energy. Fire can be helpful when you need to control yourself, or control feeling you know, like you're out of control. Get your fire element strong on this new moon, okay? This is you lighting your own fire, your own flame. This is you connecting to your infinite being, okay? Your reincarnated being, and we'll get to that later on, okay? Your fire element is your passion, okay? It is how you want to be remembered for yourself, and maybe for those who are around you. Fire cleanses. Fire clears the way. Fire is your courage, is your strength, is your passion. It could be your anger, it could be your obsession and your jealousy. Those are the weaker parts of it. But you can work through your anger, release it, work through whatever you're obsessed with, okay? That could affect you negatively. Release what you're jealous of, okay? You can connect to your solar plexus, the southern direction. You could face the southern direction in your ritual. You can connect to the color blue for Sirius, and red. I'll get to that later. You can connect to the color of orange, okay? Yellow for the solar plexus. Orange is like the orange is also associated with fire, okay? So you can connect to yellow if you want, but orange as well, right? To stimulate your fire energy, you can exercise before you do your ritual and take a shower, okay? Or shower before that, do your ritual, and then do the salt bath if you want to do it that way. You can light a candle. I can't light candles right now. I'm just working with incense, okay? I don't have the time. That's why I'm busy. So I can light a candle in my mind and have it and just see it burnt down. So sometimes you can use visualization. If you are living somewhere where you don't feel comfortable lighting candles, or you can't, you can always do things in your mind, just like you can astral travel, right? So let's see. What else? So meditate on all your chakras, but spend extra time on the solar plexus. If you want to do like a bija mantra, that's spelled B-I-J-A. I'm always giving information because, you know, someone could be watching this and they don't know how to spell bija, right? B-I-J-A. So you can do those one word sound meditation. Okay, so you can do that. I think I'm losing my voice from screaming at work yesterday, yelling, but it's all good. Now the fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Okay, Leo, you really symbolize that fiery element very strongly, okay? You're connected to that fiery, you're like the demonstration fire sign, where Aries is the spirit of the fire sign, and Sagittarius is the mind and the vision of the fire sign, right? So that's like another insight that I'm seeing here that I wanted to share with you, okay? So look at the symbolism of each of the elements. You know, it's like a triangle, up, down, with a line through it, and when they all connect, they make the 5-pointed star, okay? And it represents ether, it represents balance, the all, that is the unity, right? So I'm giving you guys all this, like, you know, sprinkle information that you'll need. So let me start on this. Let me go to the Dogon tribe, okay? Because the Dogon tribe are also part of the ancient Egyptians, and the Egyptians took what their knowledge came from ancient tribes. So don't get caught up on what they portray them to look like, because all these people were dark red, brown, you know, everyone was different, but they were from that hot desert area. Okay, so, and we all connect to them because we're all, you know, we all migrate everywhere, right? So the Dogon people of West Africa, they were said to be from the ancient Egyptians, and before that you had the Mesopotamia, you had the Sumerian, right? And you have the Babylonians from that Mesopotamia part of Africa, right? So let's not get no debate comments here. So, you know, in that location. Now they moved more into what we now recognize as the continent for location purposes that they call Africa. And from my research, what I found that the Dogon people, they lived in what is now Mali area, but they had to move to, when you look up their tribe and you see the cliffs and the caves, they moved there because they did not want to convert to Islam. They didn't want, when the Persian came in at that later time, they wanted to keep their traditions. Okay, so you can see them, they walk on stilts, and in the Caribbean where I'm from, we you know, we have part of that as our culture, so we're all connected, right? Now the cool thing that I found out, let's get to it. So, and there's another video like on here that really goes into it as well. Now, I guess there was some French anthropologists that connected to the Dogon people and went there in the 1930s, 1930, 1931, around that time, spoke to some of the elders, I'm assuming, and they shared with them their stories. And you can see that they had the symbol of the fish, okay, and they had all these carvings that had all these meanings. So a lot of times historians will say that the African tribes didn't have a language, but they did. Okay, or they didn't have a written down language, excuse me, but they did, and you know, a lot of that was lost in burning down, pillaging, and so on, and it was hidden to, you know, probably buried and hidden and so forth to preserve that. When you're under attack, you hide things, right? But anyway, so in this fish design and in this story, and there's many different myths and stories about the visitors, let's call them, right? So the Dogon people used stone carvings, tablets, the fish design, okay, and there's different little symbolism in there that represents the story, and that the Dogon people knew thousands of years ago about Ceres and the planets surrounding it, and even about Jupiter, right, and the moon for that. Okay, so the sun is the central point in our solar system, right? But the Dogon people knew that already. Okay, so I'm just getting my bullet notes and make it all connect for your meditation. All right, now they knew that the sun was the center point of our solar system, when other cultures even later on was saying, you know, didn't know that, and then they figured it out. All right, so the Dogons knew that. The planets, they knew that the planet Saturn had several rings. They knew that the planet Jupiter had a moon. They knew about the Big Bang theory, and that it was, you know, the start of our solar system, right? They knew about the Milky Way, okay, and its expanding spiral, okay, and its spiral has a lot to do with the portal opening up right now. They knew about Sirius A and Sirius B and its 50 years orbit. They knew about that. They knew about Sirius being one of the brightest stars, okay, and I'm jumping through my notes. So other than the sun, the moon, Venus and Jupiter being bright stars that we can see, because we know we can see Venus, right? How bright it is. They knew that Ceres was a bright star and holds significance to their ancestors and other ancient societies before them. They knew that. Okay. Now they knew that Ceres is one of the closest stars to our planet at certain times, and it gets closer. They knew that. They knew that the location of the constellation was in the Big Dog. Now they always had, and I remember reading somewhere that the Dogon tribe, they liked dogs and they revered them, and the constellation, the Big Dog constellation, was very important to them. Okay. Now they knew about the constellation hopefully I'm saying it right, but Canis Major, Canis. Okay, so now I kind of like drew this out on my paper for myself, and then knew that this big dog constellation was 8.6 light years away from us. They knew that. The Dogon also called the Sirius planet, they had a name for it, and it's Sigi, Sigi, Tolo, Tolo. And I found that the name was kind of similar to the Göbekli Tepe in, and I hope I'm not butchering the name, but I always say it wrong, in Turkey. Okay, and I'll talk about that later as well, because I thought that was cool. Now, they had their own name, obviously, for the star Sirius, because that's a Greek name that we're using for the planet, which is fine. All right. Now, they also knew that Orion was located further behind Sirius, about 1,500 light years away. They also, the Dogons used the planet or the star Sirius as their calendar base, just like the Egyptians did, and even the people in Turkey did, okay, at Göbekli Tepe. All right. Now, they also had a name. They also knew about the movement of the star closest to Sirius, which is Tolo. I hope I'm saying it right. P-O and then T-O-L-O. Okay. They also knew this before scientists discovered this in 1970. Okay, so they knew about Sirius, but they didn't know about the smaller planet or smaller star next to it. Okay, now the Dogon stories are true. We've come to find that out, and in a lot of myths, and translating it into English, which is a new language, and then all the translation, even if you're translating it from Arabic to Greek, and from the Egyptians, the language they spoke, there's a lot of translation. And I know that from speaking a dialect, like I understand that certain words doesn't have the same joy as in English. There's not a word for it, or the expression is different in different languages, where it would make you laugh harder about something, or you get the meaning of it immediately. It's just different. So a lot of the research that I'm doing, when I'm looking at this, I'm like, I don't think they meant it like that. Like sometimes you're hearing something, you get downloads, and you're like, okay, like when I was researching about the Dogons and the visitors that came, I instantly knew that one ship did not land. It had to be another one. And then as I read, it just made sense. So it's funny how you can hear something, and if it doesn't resonate with you, 9 times out of 10, our intuition is correct. Okay, so now this smaller planet, the Tolo, next to Ceres, it cannot be seen by the human eye, but the Dogons had that planet in their stories. So how could they know about this? Because we don't think that they could have had telescopes. So how did they know about it? So that's like the mystery behind it, right? So they also knew that planet, they also had stories that we call it Sirius B, was very heavy, even though it was very small and smaller than Sirius A. That Sirius B, Tolo, was very heavy, and even a very small piece of that planet was very heavy to lift, and we couldn't lift it. And it's made out of some form of metal or metals. Okay, because I just don't have that feeling that it's one kind of metal. I feel like it could be several, but who knows, right? It's just all speculation, really. But that was pretty interesting. All right, there's a lot of other information here. Now they classify the Sirius B as a white dwarf planet, right? So you can just look that up, and it was recently discovered on the telescope, right? So scientists are always every day looking into this planet and trying to figure out our solar system and trying to figure out, the galaxy. So there's more that we will find out, and more that I feel like we don't even know. Now the Dogons knew of the second, let me see if I'm on the correct page, because I don't want to mess this up. Okay, so the Dogons also knew of the second star cycling around Ceres. Okay, so there's another one. all right, called Emi-ya-tolo, and I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but Emmeyatolo. Okay, so 3 different words, right? So they knew about this planet, and they also knew about other planets around it. Okay, there's another one called Nyan, and then Tolo. Okay, so even the Emi-ya-tolo had a smaller planet, so they even knew about that. So to me, it's fascinating that even though we couldn't see it with our eyes from Earth, they knew about it. So how did they know about it? The visitors. So Nomo. Okay, hopefully I'm pronouncing it right, but Nommo, and it's a different looking fish people. Okay, they call them fish people. Now, from my culture, we have legends of mermaids, just like other cultures have legends of mermaids. And when growing up, in my culture, no one talked about that. So I had to find this out later on, because everyone was just like Christianity. No one really wanted to talk about anything African, because we were brainwashed to think that it was bad. Okay, so that's just part of, history, colonialism. That's just part of it, right? It's facts. So now it's pretty interesting that there are Europeans that have been going to Africa and what we call the Middle East or Northern Africa to research all these ancient findings that, let's call it quote unquote popular society is telling us, don't look into that, don't study that, you don't need to know that. But a lot of that stuff is in the Bible. Okay, other video topic. But anyway, these Nommo are different looking fish people, and they visited and live in the sea. So breaking this down, okay, breaking this down from everything, they visited and live in the sea. Now we all know about alien stories about spaceship landing in the ocean, and if we were to say remove water from one part of the ocean, there's cliffs, there's it's deep, it goes deep, we know this. Okay, so there's different legends of mermaid people, a mermaid god in Yoruba tradition that's at the bottom of the sea, right? So I wonder how these also connect to the Dogon people. It's just me in thought here. Okay, so when these visitors came, they're considered to be very intelligent, and they also made modifications to humans. Every time they visited, they improved our DNA, is what they were, they tell in their stories. And that these Mono people, their name mean to them monitors. Okay, so the Dogons refer to them as monitors, teachers, or masters, and they also consider them masters and teachers, but also masters of the waters as well. Okay, and then it makes me think, why masters of the water? Because as a human, we probably couldn't dive under the water or go that deep, right? So if someone can do something that you cannot do, obviously they're a master of that. So I thought that was interesting that they refer to them as monitors, because what's a monitor? Someone that's watching you that you can't see. And later on, I find out that their ship can be invisible. Okay, so they can be invisible to us, so we can't see them. And I'll get more on that later. So the Dogon people, the name Mono means monitors, right? Teachers, masters, and masters of the water. So the Nomos, they are also resembling mermaids. So even though they could walk, right, they could also swim in the water. All right. And they're also known as people of the sea. Now, they're also said to be from the planet, the smallest planet, okay, the smallest one, Nyatolo, Nyan, then the next word, Tolo, okay? Now, they breathe through their clavicles, right? So that's where they're breathing through. Now, could this be a mask that they put on? In my mind, I'm just going like, is this a mask that they put on? Because it's a swimming gear, and they look completely different. So they would have these fins on, just as robotic kind of, like in my mind, I'm just thinking, I hope you're having fun with my video. So the Monos, right? Or the Nomos, they sound like creatures from the myths that come from Northern Africa, aka the Middle East, where they're called something else. They're called Oanis, and I don't want to pronounce it because I always pronounce things completely different. Okay, so and it's also associated with the Egyptian goddess Aset, which in the Greek name for her is Isis, right? And she is also linked to Sirius. Now, this, in more research, I found out that the goddess Aset or Isis is confused with, let me go through my notes, the goddess, another goddess that is supposed to be the wife to, and I'm jumping all over the place, but it will all connect together later on. She's supposed to be the wife of, hold on, I was just on the page, of a Greek, of an Egyptian god, and you'll see him in connection to the 3 temples in Giza, right? So his name is Sahu, okay? And his name means the hidden one, and I'll get back to that with the ships, okay? So Sopdet, Sopdet, okay? Now she has a star above her head, that Egyptian goddess, okay? And people or archaeologists thought that she was the goddess Aset or Isis, but it's not, okay? That is Sopda, okay? My best pronunciation, Sopda. So that's her, okay? She is associated with the Ceres star, and I'm sure so is other Egyptian goddesses as Aset or aka Isis, okay? I lost my footing on my notes. I'm going to find it. So yes, all right. So I mean, I'm not going to argue with anyone. You know, the goddess Isis could be also associated, or Aset could be associated with the star Ceres, but it's the goddess Sopda. Okay, Sopdat. All right. Now, the Dogons. The Dogon story is that thousands of years ago, the Nomo visited Earth in a large spaceship, okay? Now, the Dogons call that spaceship the New Star, okay? That one never landed on the Earth, okay? From that large spaceship came a smaller ship that they call the Ark of Nomo, okay, and that one landed on the land, on the Earth, okay? And they also, these stories are similar to ones in Sumeria, the Egyptians, you know, Mesopotamia, and even the Mayans, okay? Now, the Chinese also have in their astronomy also features this star series, okay? So the Mayans also had stories of visitors as well, and you can see the stone carvings once you research those different cultures, okay? When the Ark of Nomo landed, it caused a loud sound, and it had dust, you know, a lot of dust appeared around them. So this is their storytelling that the Dogons were telling the anthropologists from France that visited in the 1930s. Now, they also altered, I was saying this earlier, they altered human genetics, and it influenced our intelligence and our health. So they were helping us to, you know, be better, more advanced, okay, our DNA alternations. And this happened 3,400 years before the story of Christ, okay? Now, when the Nomos left, they became, it was saying they became the 5th moon of the planet Saturn. So in the research and what I was watching, I'm assuming that in my mind, okay, I'm assuming, what would it mean they became the 5th moon of Saturn or the 10th moon of Saturn? Maybe sometimes they orbit that area, who knows, in their ship, who knows. The moon of Saturn is mostly icy. So this moon in Saturn is mostly ice, and ice we know is water, and who knows when we travel in space what future space ships can use as fuel or use to kind of go through portals and so on. So I'm going to get to the portal story in a bit. So this is, I wish I was on video too, but it's all good. But this is kind of like a workshop setting. And I find this interesting because when I watch other videos, they just get out the information. But I like it to be a discussion and a thought process. So you guys can leave your fun thoughts, no silliness, but leave like people that are really interested. If it's not a good one, I'm not going to post it on the comments because I don't have time for that, because this is fun for me. So then the more I dig into this rabbit hole, I got to the Sphinx, okay, in Egypt. All right, so this is pretty cool. Okay, now the Great Sphinx in Giza, Giza, okay, it has a lion's body, as we know, and a human head, and it's associated with the god Ra. I can't even pronounce this. HorakHty. So look it up. And he was considered a powerful sun god, incarnated, or the incarnation of a royal and powerful person and a protector of the temple of the doors. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. So the temple of the doors, to me, doors is a portal and in reincarnation, right? So we are all reincarnated beings. There's always an old spiritual belief of that. Even the original tablet writings that became the library book, which we refer to as the Bible, all talked about reincarnation until they took it out. So the Sphinx, and I can't wait to visit the Sphinx, it has a lion's head, and I've always been curious, why does it have a lion's head and a human body? And it makes sense for this time period. Okay, there's so much I want to say. I don't want to go off topic. Okay, let me keep going. Okay, so the series is also referred to as the Nile star. Now, when the Nile flooded during the summer solstice, the goddess Sopda was worshipped back then. Now her name is spelled Sopdat, or another spelling I saw was Sothis. Okay, and of course, like I told you before, she was confused with the goddess Isis or Aset. Aset is the Egyptian name, Isis is a Greek name. Okay, so now Ceres' name is also the Nile star, and I like nicknames because you could use them interchangeably for whatever purposes you want to use it for. Now Ceres, the rise of that flood, when it happened, water in the Nile after a certain point was very needed, right? It was important because even before what we considered Egypt, that area was flourishing with a lot of greenery, and over time, from people just farming the land and so on, I'm sure people controlled water like they do now, and it kind of doesn't benefit the area. It could cause irrigation problems and so on, blah blah blah, right? So the rising of Ceres around that time, when the flood happened, they thought of it, even though it's a flood, it was prosperous because they needed water for food and survival. Now, back then, the rise of Ceres was more visible and seemed more closer to Earth at that time. So people associate the 8th of August, and this is where I didn't want to get caught up with the 12 months, because the calendar is not, we're using a Gregorian calendar and not the ancient calendar. Okay, so like people would say that the year 2020 was actually the year 2012, and it had a lot of prophecies of illness and chaos, which we all experience, right? So what I'm saying this to say that even in my research on looking at another website, they have the 13 zodiacs there, and this portal is actually from June to August. Okay, and I feel like going out on a limb and say that it's also from Taurus time frame, even from May till August, because when I'm looking at the goddess Sopda, on a lot of the wooden carvings, I see a Taurus ram. Now that could be in the time of maybe a lot of visiting happened during the Taurus time before the Piscean age. Maybe it happened like around that time, but there's probably some significance in the actual time frame of Taurus as well. That's just my own little thought. Okay, so back to this, the Sphinx and the 3 pyramids of Giza, they all align up with Ceres. Okay, and these pyramids are believed to be antennas or a strong way of communicating. Okay, I have a lot of notes here that I'm not even saying, but these 3 pyramids of Giza act as a transmitter or an amplifier of energy and frequency, communicating to the dog star constellation, to Ceres and the planets there. Okay, now in order to channel and download messages, these 3 pyramids are thought to be created so that there's easier channeling and downloading of messages, or just to communicate with the visitors, right, in the times when they're not even an easy portal for them to travel here, right? That's my thought on that. Okay, so the Great Sphinx aligns with the Leo zodiac at this time of the year as well. And it's not just in Leo season, I feel, just from my research, I feel like it goes from like May until the end of Leo season. So let's see. There's also connection between Isis, Aset, and Anubis with the Ceres star as well. Okay. So all of this information that I've noted here, I've already shared with you. Now, the interesting thing is that the Ceres is a bright blue color. Okay. However, scientists believe, and astronomers believe that it also has that red look, maybe from 2 planets kind of crossing each other, but the other thought is from like dust in the constellations, right, in space, that cause that red kind of temporary red look to the planet. But most over, it is viewed as being blue, the color blue. All right. Now that part I don't see in my notes right now, but I'll get back to it again. But I thought this was interesting that someone's thought on this was that how can we relate this like physically and spiritually, right? So when we think of our solar system and the sun in astrology represents the self, the connect to Aries, the I am energy, right? We always have to focus on ourselves, because if we don't focus on ourselves, we can't help anyone else. So the sun shines a light on our physical body, the I am in this life, right? And then the Ceres light energy is more of our spiritual body, right? Maybe it's like our DNA is what I'm thinking. And in the Leo season, we can really kind of reprogram our thoughts and connect it to our DNA, right? Like if you do EFT tapping, or if you do just reprogramming your mind and doing those meditations, right? Positive affirmations, powerful affirmations. So today's the 8th of August 8th, the 8th month. And why are we connecting these 8th? August is known as the 8th month, and today's the 8th, right? So I feel like between May, June, July, August, any day on the 8th, we could have connected to that. So this video is kind of, late on today, August 8th, but we can definitely use it for next year and this year as well. And 8, it's really connecting to infinity, right? Forever, reincarnation, right? And around this time, and I've been feeling it, and I've been busy working too, but and going through other things, but awareness, right? We feel drained. You could feel like you need to relax. It's a great time to drink a lot of water because we're in our physical body, and it's a great time for us to really try to see where can I be better for myself in my life. Like, what's going on in my life? How can I be better? What can I do that's better? What goals do I need to work on? Really taking a closer look at ourselves and really moving towards where we want to be. Now, another thing that I found that was really interesting, and this is just my thoughts, and what the hell did I write down? Okay, let's see, travel. I feel like this is, like I said before, a great time for portals, and the alignment might be smoother around this time for, let's say, space travel, right? For more advanced societies that are light years away from Earth. Maybe the Milky Way has some effect on it. Maybe the connection between the dog constellation series and here makes communication to even other, because I doubt that the nomos are just from that constellation of series. I think they could be from another one, but they can jump to that one and to ours at this time a lot easier, right? Because if you think about us traveling here on Earth, there's easier times to travel in certain areas when it's not inclement weather. Why not the same thing applies to the universe? And like, come on. So for us, through meditation, we can ask for, or connect to like a more personal upgrade for ourselves and have and apply that to our lives to have a better life. We can connect to now this is where the astrology comes in. We can connect to the house, like I was saying, what in your birth chart. Where is Leo in your birth chart? Okay, because that does affect us, not just our sun sign and our rising sign and our moon sign. So where is Leo in your chart? What house is it in your birth chart? And see what that is. That's what you need to work on, okay, on August 8th, and connect to that portal. Now, if Leo is in your 12th house, then Leo today, 2021, is in the 12th house. And even if your ascendant is in the 11th house, well, the ascendant is in the 12th house for today's August 8th portal, okay? So just see if it lines up exactly by a house. It might not line up by planets in the house, but it might line up by the house. Now, what does that house mean, and what does that planet mean in the house? You can look at that and say, okay, is that applying to what I'm going through since the start of this year or for the last few months? Is that what I'm going through? That's what I need to work on and have it connect so that I can overcome whatever issue, lesson I'm going through right now. So looking at what it means, what is the connection with the current date, like I said, your birth chart and the current date today, and what that astrological lineup looks like in the charts, okay? So here is another information that I found, okay? And I tore the paper here. So we really want to empower. Now I looked up the synonym to the word. So empowerment, empower is one of the words that connected and made sense in usage is allow. So can we allow ourselves to be better? Right? So I like to look up words and the meanings of it and then find other words, because then another word with the same meaning might click to another person where it wouldn't to you. So empower myself. Can I allow myself to be better? Can I get through my blockages? Can I work through this, So that's something to really pause and look at. Maybe you can use a word that's, and it's, what is it attribute to? Right? Use it for 1 year and try to manifest your goal, right? So allow yourself to overcome, allow yourself to let go, allow yourself to be empowered, right? Now check this out. 8 represents infinity, like I said before. We are infinite souls. We're on this life journey. We are reincarnated beings, right? So this is what I was writing down, right? I was downloading, right? So if you're going through a hard time right now, sadness, doubt, grief, loss, seeking clarification, I can't even read my own handwriting like a doctor or something, or, or you want to carve out a new and better path for yourself, life for yourself. This is the time to really connect to that, right? You can connect to this day to empower, to cleanse, right? To strengthen, upgrade that area of your life in your chart, that house. What does that house mean? What does that planet mean in your birth chart? And then look at today. Where is Leo today? What house is it in? What planets are around it? Write it down. This is journal time, baby. This is sitting down, writing it all down, and keep writing it down, and that's your notes, that's your journal book. Go to the dollar store, buy a regular book. It doesn't have to be fancy, you can decorate it later, whatever, but you got to write down all this information. And when you sit with it and you're working with it, it does make a difference. For me, writing things down, it does make a huge difference, right? This is you empowering yourself. I'm repeating that, empowering yourself, cleansing, right? For me, Himalaya salt has been popping up lately, right? Strengthen yourself. This is your upgrade, because that's what the ancient societies were saying, was that it was improving our DNA, right? Improve that area in your life. Let me keep going, right? So that you can feel more whole. What's the purpose? You want to feel more whole. You want to feel more connected to your current life. And I wrote down the words success, win, and thrive. Those words came to me. Okay, so here's another thing that came to me, and I'm not really a science person, but 8 also relates to the DNA. So the structure of the DNA double helix that provides structure and supports to the molecular, system, right? So just our whole DNA buildup, right? So if we think about, and when you look at the DNA, you can see that kind of 8, infinity structure, right? And you can go deeper into that too. If you're a science person, you want to leave like a comment that will, be helpful, then go ahead and do that. So I did mention, that later on, I did mention that about the Dogon people migrating to Mali, what is now present day Mali. Now, here's some other information. The Mono will return to Earth with the new star, and the new star will be invisible, is what the Dogon say. And when the Ark is close to landing, then the new star will be visible. So we have all had this thought, or you have a feeling you're being watched, even if you're outside and there's no one around. Do you have that feeling? And we're not just talking about like spirits or ghosts, but you feel like from above, like some people will have that sense, right? Like there's something there, but I can't see it, right? We've all had that spiritual, on the spiritual tip, right? So then check this out. They say that the smaller ship, right, it will have 10 rays of light that will shine from the Ark. So not sure what that means. And then, there's different version of the story. There's different tellings of the story from the Dogon tribe. But I'm thinking that it was referring to the smaller ship. When the Ark is close to landing, is what the video was saying, that the new star will be visible, right? So the new star is the big ship, and 10 rays of light will shine from the Ark. So the Ark is the smaller ship, right? Okay. Now here is one of the last part to this video, and the video is longer than I thought, but I'm enjoying it. So the image now, because this is like my notes for myself to go back to, right? So what I thought was cool was that the series was worshipped by Gogliotepa, so that's Gobekli. The second word, Tepi, I'm assuming it's pronounced Tepi, Tepe, and I thought that Tepi, it's a short sound, but it's not the same word as the Dogons. However, it's still, it's not the same word, but it's still, I feel like there's a strong connection there. Tepi, Tolo, but who knows, whatever, it's completely different. But they believe that the frame, now if you look at the stone, kind of like Stonehenge, if you look at the Gogliotepe and you see the circle of stones, there's 2 center pillars, and those 2 center pillars, just like how you have Stonehenge, it will mark the summer solstice, the spring solstice, whatever, it marks all the 4 solstices, right? So at the time when they built Gogliotepe, right, at the center, it will mark the dog star, which is Ceres, right? And it will mark it at different points in time, which I'm assuming means different, just mark, if you're in that circle, it'll mark the travel of Ceres, right? Now, I've already said that in our solar system, after the sun, the moon, Venus, and Jupiter, Ceres is a bright showing star in the sky, and the Egyptians based their calendar after that, and I'm sure other ancient societies. Now, when Göbekli Tepe was built, Ceres would have been at the longitude and below the horizon, and when it pops up, then it would be a significant star in the sky for the people at that time. Now, researchers have recently discovered that people and DNA of people from Turkey is found in where Stonehenge is, and that they may have helped to build the stone there. There's also an English name for, in South Africa, another circle, and there's many circles all over the world. Okay, there's even one on the East Coast in North America, on the East Coast, that was probably built by the tribes from South America, Central America, and so on. So there's still research on that. Okay, now back to Turkey to Stonehenge, and then from Stonehenge now to, let's go to South Africa. I think it's called Adam's Circle or Adam something like that, but there's an older circle, very old, older than Stonehenge, there in South Africa. So I'd like to visit that one at some point. Okay, so let's see where else. Star of the New Year. Okay, and in some cultures, the Ceres star was considered the star to mark the rise of it, was considered the star to mark the new year. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Okay, now how can you use this? At strong astrological times, it's a great time for us to reevaluate ourselves. What do you love? Work towards what moves you. If the word work doesn't align with you, move or flow towards whatever is positive in your life. So basically, it's connecting to this to really give yourself an upgrade is what it really is. Okay, and I just find it really interesting that even up till October 15th, 2003, the Hubble telescope gave us like a really better picture, and that's the picture that I'll use in some of my posting of Ceres A and B. They got like a really better picture of that, and the Canis Major, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Canis Major constellation, and how visible it is in the southern hemisphere of the sky, and how visible it is to our eyes in the northern hemisphere as well at some points. Okay, so I hope that you guys enjoy this. I think I shared everything on this that I could possibly find. What I found was interesting, I was talking about the color of the star, and in a lot of different traditions, red and blue is such a prominent protective color, and I just like to find symbolism or find similarities is the word I'm looking for. Okay, so between Mesopotamia, Sumerian, Babylonians, and Chinese astronomy, they all featured Ceres in there. Okay, and later on the Greeks named the star Ceres, so that's what we're calling it. Okay, so it's just a popular name, so we all know what the heck we're talking about, right? Even though the Greeks got a lot of their studies from all the ancient societies, right? So the Greeks referred to it, well, let's say the Egyptians referred to it as scorching or sparkling. Okay, and the Greeks also glowing and scorching. Now the ancient Egyptians, they knew that it was blue, but at certain times it was red, and it's basically the dust in space, right? Interstellar dust, if you will, in between the planet and in between Ceres and Earth. When we're viewing it, it will give it like a red looking hue, right? For a short time. However, it is mainly a blue planet. So that's one of their theories in why it looks red, fiery red sometimes. Okay, and it could be also an orbiting other planet in front of it, kind of like an eclipse vibe that could give it that red color. So I've really shared with you everything that I found on it, because I really like to look things up and connect to that and see, okay, what does that mean? What does that refer to? So, if symbolism and visionary is important, which it is, that's why they built the great Sphinx. Even on your altar, you could have the Sphinx on there. You could have the goddesses that I mentioned. Another goddess that I didn't mention is the lion head goddess.
the body of a woman
Okay,
with a
so
lion head wearing a
Sekhmet,
sun disk.
okay, and
She was seen
this
as the
goddess
protector
I
of the
absolutely love
pharaohs
as
and led
well.
them in warfare.
I love Anubis.
When she was
I'll
in a
get to
calmer
Anubis,
state,
but
she would take the form
Sekhmet,
of the
right,
household cat
is
goddess
depicted
Bastet.
as like with a woman body and a lioness head, right? A lion's head, and she has a sun disk on her head. So the sun could be our solar system sun, and it could also be representing Sirius. And we don't know, right? We don't know a lot of what they thought back then, but she represents warfare, like protecting, right? And protecting the household, goddess of cats, just like Bas, right? When she's very calm and in her calm state, right, she could be domesticated for like the home and the goddess cat, right? But she really represents a strong protection for us, okay? And I'm gonna type it in here just to get more information for you, because I've studied her before, but it's not at the top of my mind. But war and destroying, kind of like a Kali vibe, right? But destroying your enemies and clearing your path for you. And I feel like she's a powerful one to work with. Also, if you connect to Kali, because right now today, the Lion's Gate is in the 12th house, and I've always thought of the 12th house as let me get to that in a second. So Sekhmet is also associated with disease, healing, and medicine. So a lot of people will use her in Reiki. Now I know of this lady that used her as a symbol in Reiki as well, and I think that's beautiful, like awesome, right? Destroying negativity, any kind of plagues, she destroyed that, what we're going through right now, right? So I feel like she is really good. She's also associated with Hathor and Basset, okay? And like I said, lioness, red line, lioness, sun disk, right? So she's associated with that. She's a protector. She is a guide, okay? So working with her is very powerful. I've worked with her before, very powerful, okay? Now, what was I saying before? I wanted to share this with you. Let me pause so that I don't keep going on until I remember. Okay, so here we go. The 12th house meaning in astrology, okay? Usually on charts, it would represent like being by yourself, solitude, right? Your spiritual life, the I dream, because we're thinking of Neptune and all of that, the planet Neptune. So the planetary meaning, it would be, has its own meaning. Institutions, right? Self-sabotage. We can do self-sabotage, right? Look at that for this particular Lion's Gate. Where are you self-sabotaging yourself? And are you just like, okay, let it be, and then things just get ruined even more? Time for you to transcend, right? Institutions, right? Institutions can be negative towards you, so you have to build your own tribe, right? Or you have to get strong within yourself and build your own tribe, right? Solitude, time alone to really think this through. It's your mental health, the 12th house, okay? Another chart will say that on there. Another one would be service to humanity, but first you have to serve yourself. The solitude is retreating from the world. And what are you not on acknowledgement, right? What are you not noticing, right? But the other part that I flipping notice, right? The 12th house is also sorrows, loss, and the hidden life. Now the hidden part, this is it, where the Sekhmet energy comes in and the Kali energy. And it's not to be kind of like overthinking things, but you just know it. The unseen realm, right? It governs secrets, people sabotaging you that you're unaware of, right? That popped up, right? You just not really seeing it happening, but feeling it or knowing it, and just getting rid of negative people out of your life that's not meant for your highest good, okay? Because that came up in my search, is getting rid of those negative people that you just feel like, you know what, your energy is not that great for me, and you feel it, but you can't prove it. So the 12th house is asking you to really look at what you're not seeing, the unseen, right? So it's not just self-sabotage that you think, why aren't things working for me? Clearing away negative people that aren't meant not meaning good for your life, and they're concealing that. So your spirit can feel it, but you might not recognize it. So working with the goddess Sekhmet and finding a male god that represents that, if you want to connect to the masculine energy, there are male gods for that, male energies that we do have within ourselves. That's why we're connecting to that type of energy. Okay, so I was on pause and I had to find this information so I didn't miss anything, right? So the 12th house in astrology, the house of shadows, right? The house of isolation, the unseen, the self undoing. So you can just undo. The self undoing could be the self sabotage, right? And when you recognize that, how do you flip it, right? Is the self undoing. How can you flip that in the positive? It's to clear it away, to let go of that, right? It's like shedding it away, right? The house of shadows. And I think of shadow work, really digging back into your past to say, where do I get this this belief? Because it's unconscious to us that we had an experience in our childhood that we probably forgot about, or we remember a little bit. We choose to forget about, or we remember, hey, when my mom or dad said that, or when my cousin said that, or when this person did this, I felt this way, so I shut down that part of me, and this is my defense mechanism, or I feel low self-esteem in this, and this is the way I'm like this, or I'm rude and I'm a complete bleep because of this, whatever. So you're looking at the trigger of it from the root start, and then really working through letting that out and letting that go through meditation. Find a meditation that heals that. Journal, write it down, even burn it to like release it, do symbolistic things to let it go, take showers, cleanse. So there's different things. I think I made a video on shadow work before, I'm not sure, but there's other people that did great videos on that too, so we're all here to help each other. So the 12th house represents that. The 12th house, like I said, the external perspective, right? So if your subconscious is saying unseen enemies, people who might be working against you without your own knowledge to prevent you from succeeding in life. So no one can have power over you, right? Yes, we need to have that and hold that high vibration, but also a person's negativity, you can feel that, and if you can work towards getting that person out of your life in the smoothest way possible. Or maybe you're not a smooth person, maybe you're like, you know what, our time has come, I gotta let this go, I need to work on myself right now, so you won't be hearing from me, however however you want to do it, right? But it's really clearing it out. Everyone's personality is different, so this is a great time for that. Like I said, the Sekhmet energy is really good at destroying enemies. The enemy within is yourself, to let that go, or the enemy without, outside of you. So I think that's all the information I got for this. It's a lot of information, but once you look at one thing, it opens up something else, and hopefully it connects in your life, and you can say, okay, how can I place this? Where's a constellation? What does this mean for me? And really make that connection for yourself and really connect to it. I'm going to connect to it after working today, my other work. And, let's leave a comment, leave a like. It really helps the algorithm on this channel. This video is long, so I'm going to upload it now, and I'm going to make the meditation video now. And yeah, I'll try to put the videos up earlier. I'm just busy, but I really love doing this. This is fun for me, and it's work. So definitely show some love so I can keep making these videos and doing my research. And I think I covered everything on here, how to use it, and the meditation video will have that. Just really connect to it. Find a meditation for whatever you're going through. What house is it? Does it connect to your life? Really tap into that, and do positive affirmations on the new moon to really connect to where you want to be. Let go, connect to where you want to be. Let go, connect to where you want to be, right? 3 times. Let go, connect to where you want to be. All right, so I hope that this helps. Thank you for watching. Click like, and I will see you guys. Hopefully the next 2 weeks will bring about positive changes in your life. All right, peace.